evening, everybody. Everyone may notice that we have a slightly larger crowd than usual tonight, and we are also in a different room tonight to accommodate the large crowd, because tonight's meeting marks the end of an era. After 56 years in the Hingham Public Schools and 18 years as superintendent of this district, Dr. Dorothy Gallo will be retiring this month, and tonight's meeting is her last official school committee meeting. I cannot even fathom how many nights Dr. Gallo has dedicated to these meetings, but I would hazard a guess that of all the duties of superintendents, this is not the highlight of it. Many of you out in the audience, I'm sure, can attest to that, having sat through many of these with us. So Dr. Gallo, we thought that tonight's meeting, we wanted to make it a little bit memorable for you, to recognize your dedication to the district and make this just a little bit more memorable than some of the other ones we may have had, in a positive way. There are a number of folks here tonight who have been invited to come tonight and to see you off and to wish you well. So I'm going to just recognize some people individually, and you can just come forward to the mic and say a few words. And then if there's anyone here who I don't call on who would like to say a few words, please just raise your hand and come on up and say anything you'd like to say to Dr. Gallo. So first up, I'm going to invite Karen Johnson from the Board of Selectmen.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Wow. As Michelle said, I don't even know where to begin to try to express on behalf of the town our gratitude. I guess one thing I will say is I have enjoyed so much watching the full throttle, full-throated celebration of your many accomplishments. This happens to me at TSA pre-show. I feel like I'm honored. Speaking of the microphone. I was going to say something politically incorrect, but I won't. So, you know, we've all watched, we've all participated in the very, I think, special recognition by various constituencies across this town, which have happened and which will continue to happen to celebrate your many accomplishments. And I just want to take 2 seconds to say, so when my big interaction with Dr. Gallo came really in the wake of the financial crisis. I was a member of the advisory committee, and we were in very tough financial straits at that time. And so there was a lot of hand-wringing, particularly by me, because I was sort of new to the whole thing. And you know, I have to say the kind of calm, can-do, perseverance and demeanor that you demonstrated, not only during that initial year of the financial crisis, but trying to garner as many resources. You're killing me. This was going to be brief. I'm just going to break them one right after. In any event, I thought I learned a great deal from you, not only in terms of the school budget and the school processes, but also town leadership and commitment to not only your stewardship of this particular program, but your stewardship of this program in the entire town. And so I want to thank you for all I've learned. And even though I wasn't a student in your classroom, I was a student of yours as part of this town processes. There's another educator who I've read, many of you may have read too, Jill Kerr-Conway. She wrote The Road from Corain. She wrote a 3-part memoir. She was an educator in this same sort of time period when it wasn't easy being a woman in a profession and a woman in education. But she has a great quote that reminds me of you, actually. And so she was talking about her times out at Smith. She was the president of Smith College. So she was reflecting about her time there and her time learning from also the president of Mount Holyoke College, who happened to be a woman too. And in her book, True North, she describes the strength of what she refers to as hard marble women. And it reminded me of you. The quote says, "My imagination was gripped by an early Mount Holyoke student's letter home to a friend. Ms. Lyon, the founder of Mount Holyoke," the student wrote,
wanted to produce hard marble women, not soft marble, which was easy to shape, but quickly crumbled before the forces of the elements. Hard marble was more difficult to shape, but it could take a brilliant polish, which would last, and which was impervious to wind and weather. The gripping image came from the cemeteries of New England, places everyone visited. The young women who hung on Ms. Lyon's words would have known how one had to brush the moss and lichens away from the soft marble to read the fading inscriptions, and how the polished hard marble headstones retain their luster and their message undimmed. Dot Gallo, if ever there was one, you're a hard marble woman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. She wasn't just dropping the mic and leaving on that high note. She has to go to the talent bank interview. So, and Donna Smallwood, would you like to speak on behalf of advisory for us?
So Karen is former advisory, and I'm current
there you
advisory.
go.
And I'm going to take advantage of the fact that my role gets me up here to wear a couple of hats. So first, Dr. Gallo, as a parent, JB and I want to thank you for the education that our guys got. Brian and Eric are successful in large part because of the way they were formed and shaped here at school, and it prepared them for education and careers, and important to me, being community members going forward. And now I'm taking off the parent hat, I'm putting on the community hat. As a community member, I want to thank you for the thousands of hours over an entire career that you have invested into building not only an excellent school system for us, but an excellent school system that makes Hingham a coveted place in which to live. You really have made a difference not only to all the kids and families you've touched, but to all of us who live here. And your dedication and your service, your career invested in us, is what gives public service a good name. And as someone who values public service, I really appreciate that. So now, with my advisory committee hat on, and more importantly as a proud alum of the advisory committee's education subcommittee, the ACES team, I want to thank you for your skill and talent in investing the millions and millions of dollars that we have invested in our school system wisely. You have been responsible for advocating for and then managing the use of half the town's budget year in and year out. And I'm here to tell you, Dr. Gallo is a budget ninja. She knows how to squeeze every dollar until it gives all of us the biggest bang for our buck. She is skilled at navigating not only the not-so-lean years, and I'm fortunate we're in the not-so-lean years, but the lean years that Karen talked about, protecting what is most valuable and then reinvesting as is possible over time. She's been gifted at communicating with those of us at the advisory committee, making us open our ears and understand the challenges and the complexities of running a school system as complicated as ours, but always with the long view for what's best for Hingham's kids and families. So, on behalf of all of us on this year's advisory committee and the dozens of advisory committees with whom you've had to work over your many years, we want to thank you for a job well done, congratulate you on your successful career, and wish you all the best on the challenges ahead. And I bet you'll love having your Monday nights to yourself again. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And then next we have Jen Benham, I think on behalf of the All-Town PTO, another group of people that Dr. Gallo meets with regularly throughout her career. Thank you.
On behalf of the All-Town PTO, we want to express our gratitude and appreciation for your leadership across the Hingham Public School systems. We want to thank you for starting the All-Town PTO group, for devoting your time to meeting with us monthly, with the representatives, for keeping us informed and keeping the lines of communication open. We sincerely appreciate your years of positive support to all 6 PTOs. And we just want to say that we wish you a wonderful retirement and that we will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. I believe on behalf of the principals, Mary Eastwood is, oh, no, sorry, oh, all right. On behalf of the principals and department directors. Mary and Katie, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, this is exciting, and thank you very much for asking us to come here. And on behalf of the Hingham Public Schools leadership team, we too would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Dr. Gallo for all of her mentorship and guidance throughout her many years in Hingham. As many of you know, this year the Hingham Public Schools adopted a new toolbox program for social and emotional health. Dr. Gallo, however, has always had her very own leadership toolbox, we all know that for sure, one that she has shared with other members of the administrative team. As we welcome Dr. Austin, we'd like to let him in on some of Dot's most well-honed tools. Katie?
So our first tool from Dr. Gallo is the book of everything about everything. It is indeed true that a superintendent needs to know everything about everything, and over the years, Dr. Gallo has compiled this accrued wisdom into one easy-to-use manual. This multi-tome volume includes sections on content standards, pedagogy, human resources, law, budgeting and finance, technology, social media, facilities, politics, public relations, and meteorology. Most important is an extensive first-hand historical account of the past 72 years of Hingham Public Schools, including the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So Paul will be passing this off to you shortly. Our next two tools are two tools. First is the 25-hour clock, and is the two-ended candle. So many have commented on Dr. Gallo's superhuman strength and stamina, and on any given night, anyone passing by 220 Central can see a lone light burning in the corner office. Confirming popular myth and legend, it is in fact true that Dr. Gallo has a two-ended candle that she burns nightly. This tool works in tandem with her 25-hour clock. The next two tools, again, work together. So whether balancing a budget or balancing competing viewpoints, Dr. Gallo is at all times balanced and measured. This balance tool works in tandem with the most important tool in the toolbox, which is the student-centered bullseye tool. One of the most challenging roles of an administrator is to discern all the many acronyms and trends in education. Dr. Gallo uses the student-centered bullseye tool to separate the meaningful and lasting educational initiatives from those that are a passing trend. And the final tool The final tool is unique to Dr. Gallo. When she dons her superhero cape, Dr. Gallo can build new school buildings with a single bound, quite literally, might be too soon, put out fires, real and metaphorical, and balance a budget with one arm tied behind her back. She can support and mentor her leadership team while juggling all of the competing demands of this very complex job and do it with grace and courage.
So in truth, there is not a toolbox in the whole world big enough to contain the many tools Dr. Gallo has employed as the master builder of our district. Fortunately, the foundation that she has constructed for the rest of us to build from is sound and strong. We will honor her legacy by continuing to make excellent use of the many well-worn tools in her toolbox as we strive to maintain the structural integrity that has been the cornerstone of the tour de force, the Hingham Public Schools. Dot, thank you so much from the leadership team.
Katie was unfolding this, I thought it was an apron. Most of you know that I wouldn't have need for that. This is much more useful. Thank you.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much. I think on behalf of the faculty, June Gustafson. Now the gifts are coming.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure that I make this presentation to you, Dr. Dorothy Gallo, on behalf of the Hingham Education Association. Often teachers are called upon to write recommendations for our students for both private school and university. One common question is, what 3 words come to mind when you think of this candidate? For you, I was able to find adjectives that have nice alliteration with your first name. Determined, dynamic, dedicated. You have been determined to build Hingham into the best education on the South Shore. Your dynamic vision has helped guide the district into the 21st century, and your dedication, as one of my teaching partners said, it is unheard of that one person has devoted their entire adult life to one town. We like to think of your time as Situate as proof that the prefrontal cortex is the last part of the brain to develop, as you were a recently minted Harvard University graduate at the time. In all seriousness, you came of age when President Kennedy asked not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Actually, we know with your work on international accreditations, you went beyond Hingham, beyond Massachusetts, beyond the United States, to do the important work of education around the globe. We're always glad to call you our own. Your dedication to this town, especially the students, has been amazing. I'm a student of the humanities, not mathematics, so I can't begin to calculate how many children and families you have impacted over the past 56 years. You have led with incredible grace, keen intellect, to the point that it's not surprising to see former students returning to this district to raise their families and or teach here. The members of the association wish you an amazing retirement and to recognize you with this gift for all you have done for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, June. Do you want to open it now, or are you going to save it for? All right. No, go ahead. I think. Okay, oh, she's going to open. All right, we'll give it a minute. Abby and Eden, I'm going to call you up next if you want to start making your way up.
Nice. Oh.
Wonderful.
I packed up my clocks and took them home, so in the last few days, I haven't had a clock, but this is beautiful. Thank you very much. Can you read that?
Sure.
Well, now-
So the, sorry.
No, oh yeah, go ahead, read it.
So the inscription says, thank you in appreciation for your dedication to education and to the students of Hingham, the Hingham Education Association 2019, Dr. Dorothy Gallo.
Very nice, thank you. And of course, the ultimate goal of any school district is wonderful students, and we have invited some of the best students from Hingham High School. They just recently graduated. Eden Larkin is going to go first.
Hello. Throughout this past year, there have been countless speeches delivered in honor of Dr. Gallo's tremendous legacy and irreplaceable contributions to this town and its schools. But despite all the words spoken about Dr. Gallo, none of them, mine included, will ever truly be able to convey the enormous impact Dr. Gallo has had on the Hingham Public School system and all lives that have gone through it. So instead of trying to accomplish such a feat, I thought I'd share a few examples as to why Dr. Gallo has meant so much to me personally. One memory that instantly comes to mind is when I came to speak in front of the school committee for the first time. I was terrified, but if Hingham Public Schools has taught me anything, it's that it's important to stand up for what you believe in. Dr. Gallo is a shining example of this. Not only did she encourage me to share my thoughts, she thanked me for my time and responded to my worries. For as long as I have known her, Dr. Gallo has empowered students like myself to use our voices. After speaking at the school committee, Dr. Gallo invited me, Abby, and some other students to partake in her newly conceived Superintendent Student Cabinet, a group she formed for the purposes of meeting with students, hearing their concerns, and taking steps forward to enact positive change within our schools. Even though it was her last year, she still thought she was still making time for students and still coming up with new ideas to make our schools better. Not only was Dr. Gallo just a really fun person to eat pizza and chat with, she once again went the extra mile to show her true concern for her students. I remember one of these meetings during which Dr. Gallo told us that 2 of Hingham's 4 elementary schools had exhibited substantial growth and success in their MCAS performances. MCAS may not seem like the biggest deal, especially for 11-year-olds, but the undeniable pride that Dr. Gallo exuded when sharing this information made it clear to me that she genuinely cares for every student she services and celebrates all of their successes equally. In fact, the only gripe I've ever really heard regarding Dr. Gallo is that Hingham often has less snow days than other school systems. However, when Dr. Gallo actually informed me that every time there was a possibility of a snow day, she woke up, drove around the town, and made sure that it was safe enough for every student to make it to school, I realized that maybe even this critique was not correct. But one of the most special experiences I know that my entire class will always share with Dr. Gallo is that we never spent a day without her service. As she embarked on her 18 years as superintendent, the members of my class grew up alongside her work, as we've all turned 18 recently. Now, as my class graduates and Dr. Gallo retires, we all get to take our next steps into new chapters of our lives together. I cannot think of a more fitting way to end my time in Hingham Public Schools, and I cannot thank Dr. Gallo enough for making these last 13 years filled with unique opportunities, valuable knowledge, priceless memories, and most of all, unforgettable people. So thank you, Dr. Gallo. I hope your retirement is everything you dreamed of and more.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby. Hi. Dr. Gallo, over the course of the last year, I've gotten to spend more time with you than most students who pass through the Hingham Public Schools, and I'm both honored and thankful to have had that opportunity. In spending such time with you, I've learned many things. One is that every sentiment that's been expressed about you in the last few months as you've prepared to retire is absolutely true. You're driven, intelligent, kind, and above all, passionate about and dedicated to the education system of this town. I also learned how committed you are to student input. Not only did you reach out to me after I expressed concerns at a school committee meeting last year, you also instituted the superintendent's student cabinet that Eden spoke about. Even in your extended medical absence, you made sure all of our scheduled meetings happened with one of your colleagues in your place. From our first meeting onwards, it was clear that your interest in our opinions was genuine, and I can't express how truly thankful we all were to hear our voices valued. Something else I learned, perhaps the thing I hold closest to my heart, is that you're an incredible mentor. Throughout the college process, you were encouraging and supporting of each and every one of us. You offered insight about the application process, choosing the right school, and leaving behind the only place you've ever called home. When I expressed concerns about leaving my family, especially my mom, you offered advice based on the way you handled similar feelings upon graduating from Hingham High. Upon sharing my acceptance with you, you shared stories and experiences from your undergraduate years with me, which both reassured me that I had made the right decision and excited me for what lies ahead. Your support and encouragement over the last few months, from applications to acceptances to graduation, have meant the world to me. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to get to know you more closely this year, but I'm also grateful to have been a student for the last 13 years in the school system that you've dedicated your life to. I am the person I am today because of the Hingham Public Schools and because of the work you've done here. So thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for this town, and for all of your students. Your impact on not only Hingham, but through the students whose lives you've touched, the whole world, is incredible and will continue to be felt for years to come. You will never, ever be forgotten by this town. I wish you the best in retirement and hope you take advantage of this new time you have to yourself to relax. You certainly deserve it.
I think we can all agree that it is a mark of a wonderful superintendent when students are happy to stand up and explain how much time they spent with the superintendent. In other places, that might not be a positive thing. I think, Dave, did you want to? All right, we're going to have Dave Jewett has a few things to say.
So I'm here representing the SMART department. For those at home taking notes, that's science, math, and related technologies. Dot is the founding member of the SMART department, and all I want to say, I'll keep it short, but thank you for all you've done for me personally. Thank you for everything you've done for the department. I'm not going to go through it all. You know what you've done. It's remarkable. We all appreciate it. What some of the tenets that Dot has instilled in the math department over time, most importantly, that I think every single person that comes and has worked under Dot and then under Doug Hawley and under myself, a tremendous work ethic and a lifelong learner. What I'm going to miss about Dot in particular is our long talks, lots of laughs. I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle. Dot is brilliant, and I think sometimes it takes brilliant people to be really funny, and she always has some excellent quips. But you don't get to retire from the SMART department without some laughs at your expense. So, for our lifelong learner, and perfectly Dot set me up for this, as she just mentioned, she is not great in the kitchen, so she has a cape that she just said will now double as an apron. This is Mark Bittman, renowned chef. It is how to cook everything, the basics. Starts with a hard-boiled egg, goes all the way through boiling spaghetti and not burning toast. Second thing that we've been taught is that it's important to care for children, to love children, and everyone expresses that differently, but all teachers do that. I know that's a tenet of our department, and again, Dot just showed that very much on display. But again, everybody shows that differently, and here she is, still proving everybody wrong, apparently, because we would claim that Dot is usually not a hugger. But as we know, lifelong learner, not afraid to learn new skills. She just tried something out. She's branching out tonight. It's fantastic. And upon the occasion of a retirement, there are clocks, but a lot of times, traditional retirement gift is a gold watch. I think it's more appropriate that Dot receives a calculator watch. She'll always have the time, she'll always have her calculator, and I think it's perfectly fitting. And I think most importantly, the gift that we will give you is you'll know that we'll never relent, we'll always take the time to take care of children, to be thoughtful, to be patient, and to give everybody the time and respect and dignity that they need. And that is something that you've taught us. So, thank you, Dot.
He's getting a hug. All right, so just a couple more people that I have, unless, is there anyone out there? I'm going to call on former school committee members, and I think, Ray, did you want to say a few words? Or do you not want to follow those acts?
I can't say no now.
We could.
How are you? Ray Estes, 92 Fort Hill Street.
Thank you.
So I don't know where to begin. So it's been, I think I've known you over a decade now. It was before I was on the school committee, and just a parent of a lot of little children. Now I'm a parent of 4 teenagers. It's even scarier. There's, I think, you know, others may want to speak for themselves. I think there are a number of things that I can certainly speak on behalf of those of whom are here in the audience who have worked with you and served with you in the past, and those who aren't here. It was a tremendous honor. I think we learned a tremendous amount. From you personally, I learned, and I'm a student of history, but I learned the history of a lot of things. And you know, you start on the school committee and you study the finances and you read the budget books and you sit down with people and talk, and you can do all that work independently. But what I learned from you was the nuance. And the nuance is really what's been important over the years. The little things that people don't pick up on, the little things that matter the most when you really delve into what's important in this town. And you're perhaps most singularly situated to teach that history, and I've really appreciated that from you. I know others have as well. I think you've been a tremendous confidant for a number of us, and someone with whom we've shared hours and hours of wonderful discussions. I know after 4-hour meetings, you and I would often talk even later into the evening, whether it was about loved ones experiencing difficulties or educational issues or sharing consternation about a particular individual during a testy budget fight. You were always there, and you were always someone who was offering of advice, offering of comfort. I found your nature to be both conciliatory most of the time, but then many a time you were prepared for battle, and you prepared many of us for battle. And we went to battle with you a number of times, and I think we learned a lot during the process, and it was extremely enjoyable. You were a person of tremendous humor, and that's something I really appreciate. I'll never forget going to lunch with you at Cohasset Golf one day, and you introduced me to a friend as your boss. I said, oh, it's crazy. Please, you're a person whom I respect perhaps more than anyone, and I always thought that was the funniest thing. But you had a humor about you, you had a grace that you carried and continue to in easy times and in difficult times, a very measured way, no matter what was going on, whether it was an exciting time, a difficult time. You were measured in your approach, you were measured in your delivery, and I think that was appreciated by so many in this town. No matter how tired or hungry or frustrated that I or many of us may have felt leaving a long meeting, leaving a difficult session, I always knew that you were even more tired, more hungry, and more frustrated because you had been at it much longer than we. We didn't always, there were many of us who didn't always agree, and we had wonderful discussions that were elevated to a point. But you always managed to disagree without being disagreeable. And I think that's one of the most wonderful traits of any human being, and something that I've tried to emulate that you showed. Of all the traits, I think the one thing that I've admired about you is how tough you are, the resolve that you show, and I think there's not a person in this town who doesn't respect your experience, your wealth of knowledge, the grace that you show, and the compassion and dedication that you've shown to the students as evidenced here tonight and throughout your 56 years in Hingham. There's really no one that I, and I'm sure many others in this town, admire more. The one thing I would leave folks with, for those who continue on with the school committee, for Dr. Austin, when in doubt, WWDD. What would Dot do? Because very often it's the right thing. So I thank you for me personally, on behalf of other school committee members here and not present, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. So if no one, is anyone else here who would like to say anything while they're, Ted, do you want to?
Okay.
This may be a surprise guest.
Hello, Mother. I'm going to just go off the cuff on this one. I'm Ted. How are you doing?
Dr. Gallo's very nervous.
Me and Dr. Gallo go way back from a time when I was a small toddler. And where was the cookbook 50 years ago? But she did have the T-shirt. I was a toddler. I would crawl near her. She'd be like, mm-mm. No hugs. But why I wanted to come up is I've been up a few times in front of different audiences, but this is the first time I've ever had a chance to talk in front of people that actually, and I'm from Hingham and I went through the school system, be able to talk in front of people that shape the school system and shape what our future is going to be like in the town of Hingham. And I come from a unique perspective with my mother. I get to see the behind the scenes. I get to see how the meetings, how the days, how the trials and tribulations affect my mother. I get to see that and nobody else does. You get there was a couple words people use, but they're all good words. But I get to see behind, and what I always marveled at with my mother is that no matter how trying an evening was, a meeting was, a student was, a set of parents were, an instance was, a whole summer was, she only had two things on her mind. How would this affect students, and how would this affect the town? And every decision that I saw that she ever made only had those two things in mind. There was she's always been called a little bit motionless. It's a fantastic trait for that job to be able to make those decisions and take your emotions out of it. To make the decisions, even though you have emotions hidden back there, that all you have to think about, what is the sense of fair play? What is the right thing to do? What is right for this town? And what are right for the students? And take away what you may personally feel about somebody who disagrees with you, or a parent disagrees with you, or a student, whatever circumstance it is. So why I wanted to come up here, and I didn't know I was going to do this, was when that chair has another name on it and she is no longer in here, I just want all you people who shape our future to remember that, to take all the pettiness away, take all the emotion away, take all your personal feelings away, and come up with what is right for the town, what is right for the school system, and what is right for the students. Because that's what she did for 18 years, for 56 years, for 72 years. That's all she's done, and I marvel at it as her son. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ted. Now I have to follow that act. Great. All right, so I will speak last on behalf of your current school committee, Dr. Gallo. Your legacy will be measured in many ways, but one way that you have helped shape this district is by ensuring that the Hingham Public Schools are filled with committed and talented faculty and staff, and that you have clearly excelled at. So as part of tonight's recognition of you, we also wanted to highlight a group of teachers who have been recognized this year for their outstanding work by their peers at the Plymouth County Education Association. These teachers embody the mission of the Hingham Public Schools, and they will carry on your legacy in the years to come. So if any of you are here tonight, just please stand and be recognized as I read your name. So I'll read the name of the teacher as well as the school that they teach at. Charlotte Passad at Foster School, Brian DeMarco at East, Kathleen Dollard, Hingham High School, Melissa Hamrock, Plymouth River School, Jackie McAllister, Plymouth River School, Jordan Perry from South School, Louis Pyers from Hingham High School, Jessica Sananen at Foster School, Melissa Tompkins from East School, and Megan Warsiski from South School. Those are all named Rookies of the Year. That is an impressive feat. And also for honor awards, Charlotte Bassad as well from Foster, Patricia DeMartinez from South, Erin McGrath from Foster, and Cynthia McKeon from Foster. And the PCAA highest honor this year, for the first time in I think 40 years, went to Carrie Beth Soraka from Foster School. And we also were going to mention that the winner of the first Your Good Friend Margaret Conady Coaching Award was Dawn Diedrichson from Hingham High School this year. This group of committed teachers is just a small representation of the excellence found in our faculty, and you should take great pride in that, Dr. Gallo. They are a reflection of the excellence you have fostered throughout your career, and they will, again, continue the legacy that you have built for the Hingham Public Schools. Our Hingham Public Schools logo reads, commitment to learning, fulfillment of potential, and service to others. And for 56 years, Dr. Gallo has personified this logo for all of us. In recognition of all you have achieved, Dr. Gallo, on behalf of the grateful town of Hingham, it is my honor to present you with this award that recognizes your commitment, your dedication, your high standards, your perseverance, your patience, and above all, your wizardry with a budget. You have been a champion for the Hingham Public Schools for 56 years. You will be missed, but you will not be forgotten. If you would like to say a few words, you most certainly can.
So thank you all. I may never use one of these again. A lot of folks will be happy. I've been overwhelmed this year for a whole bunch of reasons, but particularly all of the remembrances and the kind acts and the wonderful things that have happened. I keep saying to folks, Jamie probably hears it the most, people have such creative ideas. I mean, I don't know who thought of the letters, but I get letters every day. Some of you don't know that. Every day I get letters. And you know, when I heard about the letters, because somebody told me that I needed a bigger box than the folder I had when the first two letters came, you know, when I heard about the letters, I thought, oh, that's a nice idea. Somebody would go away with some positive thoughts and feel good. And certainly the letters all had positive things to say, but I was amazed at how personal they were. The letters came from people that I know really well. The letters came from people I've met only once or twice. The letters came from co-workers, from colleagues. The letters came from members of the town government. The letters came from people that I barely know. But all of the letters had something personal to say. And you know, as educators, we often hear a lot from others when people are in the mood to say positive things about us. But, you know, the letters said things that really made you believe, if you ever doubted it, what an impact we make on others in ways that at the time we can't even know. The letters talked about lessons that, messages that I gave to the writer or to their child or to someone else in their friendship circle. The letters talked about things that I said that I thought at the time, oh, that was a poor excuse, but people remember. And I will have those letters forever and can read over and over and over again about what value we all have as educators, and the fact that most of the time, that is affirmed by people we see every single day. The activities at the schools, I was invited to every school to come and celebrate with the students, and there were 6 of these celebrations, and they all were enjoyable. They all were unique and appropriate to the age of the children. Children give wonderful advice. If you never have received advice from children, Dr. Gallo, when asked what Dr. Gallo should do when she retires, she should get 3 cats and name them some unusual names for cats, at least. Dr. Gallo should get a motor scooter. Dr. Gallo, I think the students were told, these were first graders, I think they were told that a student should think of what their grandparents might do. So I got advice like, go to Florida, sit in the sun, and get a tan, T-A-N-E. Dr. Gallo should babysit. At the time, I only had a fish to babysit for. Now I have a fish and a puppy to babysit for. Those were kindergartners. I got to officiate at the wedding of Q and U, popular kindergarten activity here in Hingham, and I replaced Tony officiating at that. I got a book of dots. I've got a book of dot-to-dot coloring activities. Got a lot of things that had to do with dot, but in every case, what I noticed was that we had kids in an auditorium or in a cafetorium or at foster school sitting out in a drizzly day. But in every case, unbelievably well-behaved and respectful kids who I think seem to really enjoy being there, to interact with adults and feel like adults who are being good citizens. So there's so many other things that I was surprised about. I won't take the time tonight because we have a meeting.
Unfortunately.
I won't take time to talk more about those, but there are all kinds of things that are going on, and it makes me feel so humble. I mean, you all know this job has been my life for 56 years, just about, at least here. And it is my life. It's not been my job, it's been my life. And people can argue, well, that's not a healthy thing. For heaven's sake, get another life. But it is my life, and I would not have done it another way. And Teddy jokes about that, but he's right with what he told you. So I'm going to be sad to see all of this festivity end, and I know it will, but there are a few more things that are coming along that I'm looking forward to as well. So thank all of you who've been a part in it, and whether it's coming to a meeting like this, or whether it's being part of the letter writing campaign, or the celebration planning, or whatever, doesn't matter. It's important, and very important to me, and I'm appreciative of every single thing that has happened. I have lots of new clothes, most of them with red with H's on them. You'll see those around town, and I am not a very expressive person in terms of personal things, but don't think that means that I didn't notice or I haven't appreciated what you've all done. The roses, I mean, who gets roses? The numbers that I got roses. Roses from the school committee and on graduation day. I mean, 56 roses. Did any of you ever get 56? I don't think so. And at East School, Tony, how many kindergarten kids do you have?
80-something. About 80.
About 80. About 80 more roses at East School. So it's been a wonderful ride, so to speak, and you know what? All just right things for me. You all are very perceptive in doing the things that you know will mean a lot to me, and I appreciate that as well. So, Madam Chairman, I think we should proceed to the meeting.
Shall we call to order?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gallo. Before we start, Ted, just so you know, we are available for gift consultations for Mother's Day, birthdays. Just you call us, we'll let you know. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. And for those of you who would like to stay, I will now call the meeting to order. I guess I should have mentioned this before, but this meeting is being recorded and televised by Harbor Media. And if anyone else intends to audio or video, please let me know. Seeing none, I will go on. All right, item 2, approval of minutes. We have several minutes to approve, but once these are done, did Kay already leave? Oh, she did. We will be up to date with minutes. So can someone want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on March 25th, 2019.
Second? I'll second that. Thank you. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on April 8th, 2019.
Second? Libby, thank you. Any questions or discussion on those minutes? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on April 22nd, 2019.
Second? Libby? Or Liza? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on April 29th, 2019.
Second? Libby? Thank you. Discussion on those? Yep.
On the section 4, the itemized votes should be moved down to under the adjournment because we adjourned to executive session. And it does say in the that the motion was approved 6-1. But then the itemized vote is not noted for the going into executive session.
Oh, okay.
To note that.
Okay, we will update that. Do we want to approve them subject to that change?
Yeah, that was the
Yep.
only thing.
Okay. Any other discussion? No. So, all in favor?
Aye. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the school committee meeting held on June 3rd, 2019.
Second?
I'll second it.
Liza, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. And sorry, I forgot to note that Carrie is not here tonight. Does somebody, sorry, you're not taking minutes, are you?
I'll be glad to.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
All right, that would be great. Thank you. All right. Item 3 on the agenda, questions and comments. The Hingham School Committee encourages community engagement and welcomes questions and comments as agenda items are discussed at the meeting. We also have set aside 15 minutes for comments and questions that fall under the purview of the school committee and are not already on tonight's agenda. Is anyone here for anything not on the agenda, other than the Dr. Gallo? All right, then I will skip the rest. Item number 4, Dr. Gallo, your superintendent's report.
Well, I would just say that Dr. Austin and I left here at 7:30 this morning to do a tour of the 6 schools and try to get to each one before they all closed, and we made it. We ended up at Foster, and certainly most people were gone, but some people were there, and we chatted with them. And as you can imagine, everyone was in wonderful spirits because it was the last teacher day. And for most of our teachers anyway, and the students were dismissed, most of them on Friday, although there were some students taking exams today at the high school because of the additional day that they had. And everybody said the same thing. While we've had difficult days this year, as we do every year, and in a lot of different ways. Everybody told us it had been a good year, and people left in good spirits and with things to do, and our job for the year not totally over, but it was a successful year. So we came back here exhausted because we walked up the steps at South early this morning, and we took the long walk into the middle school and down to the cafeteria, and we did a lot of walking, Paul. So we'll be, in any event, back tomorrow and working together this week and doing some of the things that I would normally be doing. We'll talk a lot about how we would normally open school, and then Paul will decide how he's going to make changes as he sees fit. But right now, we're focusing on the way we have operated for a lot of years, and he'll go home with a lot of papers to to read through, and then the next memorable date will be on July 1st, when Paul will be here in his role as the superintendent, and I'll be elsewhere. I have some vacation time that I will use, and also some more work that I need to get done. And then the next significant date is July 31st, and July 31st is my last official day here, and I will leave, and I will feel some sadness, but not as much as you might think, because I've had a lot of time to think about this. You know, I made this announcement over a year and a half ago, and there's been a lot of time to think about it and to get used to the idea and to think of the things that I'm going to do next, because there will be things that I'll be doing next, and I don't know what all of them are yet, but I feel fortunate to, have had a difficult year health-wise, but things are going well now, and I'm hoping that I can move forward with the plans that I have had for me, and mostly those are things like taking a vacation that's more than 5 days, which I've never done, actually not working every day, which I have always done, and I know I'm going to need to get used to that, but I'm ready for that challenge. I think most of you would be as well. So thank you again for everything.
And thank you for showing Dr. Austin around all the buildings. Dr. Austin is here tonight. He is starting his transition duties. Well, we'll approve that, but he is starting his transition duties over the next couple of weeks, and then fortunately has the luxury of being able to work with Dr. Gallo through the 31st of July. So that's a huge help for everyone. 56 years is a lot to cram into 45 days, but she's going to try. Do you have any communications?
Just that I would mention 2 things that are in your packet. One of them is about the town-wide committee to create a new master plan, and they are asking for all of the town departments to appoint someone to represent the school committee. They don't give any more clarity than that in the letter. So I'm assuming it could be a member of the school committee, or it could be someone you designate, a member of the staff, to do that. Okay. And they want to get started this summer, which might limit the willingness of some people to participate. Yes. But this committee will go from June of this year, getting an early meeting in July, they talk about, through December of 2020 of next year. And I remember this committee or similar committee meeting a number of years ago now, and it's an enjoyable one to serve on, but a fair amount of work as well. So the second thing in the packet is a letter that I was going to say invites Hingham to participate in the next assessment that is done every,
the NAEP.
Yeah,
Yeah. The National Assessment for Educational Proficiency.
Educational progress. But how many years is it? 10 years is it?
4, I think. 4.
we've been invited many times, it seems every time, but it's the middle school, Hingham's Middle School, that is invited to participate in that. And I thought you all would want to know about that. So both of those are in the packet.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Emma Quilty could not be here tonight for student communications. Does anybody else have any communications? No? All right, neither do I. All right, item 6.1, new business. To hear SEPAC Annual Report. Mr. Dempsey, you are up.
So thankful, Michelle, that I get to follow this.
I thought you would be.
Get that booted up. So what is SEPAC? SEPAC is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. I had the pleasure of being the chair this past year. And what SEPAC is it's a parent-run organization. All of parents whose children are either in the Hingham school system who are on either IEPs or 504 plans. And if you're one of those parents, you know exactly what those are. The kids who receive special education services. I know 504 plans are not special education services, looking at Dr. Vinnis, but SEPAC, which makes this a little bit unusual in terms of other town SEPACs, takes in 504s as part of our mission. Can go through. That's our email, and for this year, coming, Jen Van Gelder, who's also here, Gallagher, and I are going to be co-chairs this year, which make it a much more productive year. Will be great. And Katie McBride is our education chair. We're currently missing a couple of board member positions, so we will be doing a hard push this summer to get those filled. Go through. So the role of SEPAC, the overview of what this is, and I'm going to really try to be brief and skim over a bunch of stuff because I know people aren't here to see me tonight. But we're going to go over the role of SEPAC, the activities and accomplishments for this year, and sort of what our future directions are for next year. So the role of SEPAC is sort of a three-part role. One is to advise the school committee about, giving a parent's perspective. One is to meet regularly with school officials, sort of the three jobs are physically represented here. The third job is working with parents to connect parents together. It can be pretty lonely being a parent of a child with special needs and pretty confusing to go through the system of getting the education testing, getting the services, getting the accommodations and modifications that will help your child. And it's a very sort of lonely process if you're a parent doing it. SEPAC really connects parents together to give parents a unified voice in talking to the school committee and administration, and connects parents to each other. So I've been a special education teacher for 20 years, and I find the whole system very confusing. So a parent without that background would certainly be a little lost. So we're really an organization for parents. You can go through. So dividing our job up of what in those three areas of what we did this year. We did advocate to the school committee. This year we advocated for the new special education initiatives that got approved for the most part, so we came and spoke at a school committee meeting and wrote a public letter, getting 2 new inclusion coordinators at the middle and high school, 1 in-home behavioral specialist, and the development of a language-based lab program for a group of 6th graders at the middle school. Thank you, Dr. Vinnis, for all of that hard work. We've worked, she did the heavy lifting, we just advocated for it, so I'm not here taking credit for all of that. We also worked on ensured that parent representatives of special education students were in the hiring process. Our representative was Mary Beth Barber on the hiring committee for Dr. Austin. Welcome, Dr. Austin. It's wonderful that you're here. And then our activities and accomplishments. And people who've been around a long time know that SEPACs traditionally had this work plan, which was this document that was, owned by the administration, the school committee, and SEPAC, all working together. It's sort of seen from a different era. of a relationship. I think moving towards a new positive relationship where instead of trying to battle each other, we are trying to work with each other, and I think we've done that very successfully this year. I think the relationship has been very good. But sort of scrapped the work plan in the spirit of prioritizing really what parents are asking for right now. So we're working to sort of develop new priorities of what we are going to be talking to administration and school committee about. I also met periodically with the Director of Student Services to discuss issues related to special ed in Hingham. We've done that. Dr. Vindes, I would meet, I'd say monthly. Give her less. Some months are busier. You can skip forward. Cool. And then work with parents and families. We hosted several formal and informal parent education networking events. In September, the new Director of Student Services came to a meeting to introduce herself and answer questions. That discussion I thought was very fruitful and really set the tone of what we did throughout the year. In October, we held the annual Special Education Rights and Responsibilities Workshop in this, I believe it was this room, actually. So you can keep going. In November, Heather Rodriguez, the Director of Counseling, came to present the district's Toolbox program. It was one of the early sort of rollouts of the Toolbox program, talking to parents about that. In January, Dr. Vindes came again and explained the new IEP process that Hingham is using. It's a strength-based IEP process where the meetings are really run focusing on what kids can do and what their strengths are. I think it's a great direction for us to move in as a school system. And February, Dr. Vindes came back to give... We're working very close with Dr. Vindes to explain. She gave a presentation on the special education initiatives that then went into the budget and then were approved by the school committee. In March, we started a discussion of the leveling system and how tracking of students affects students on 504 plans and IEPs. This sort of came out of the initial September discussion we had at a SEPAC meeting, and it's sort of evolved throughout the year. We're actually meeting tomorrow night to really clarify our positions on that and look at what we're doing. And then next week, we are meeting with administration to really talk about what the issue is, because it's so big and amorphous that you're really talking about 10 or 15 other issues when you're really talking about how students are leveled. So it gets very complicated. We also hosted a forum for candidates for school committee in April, which I thought was successful. Hopefully we'll be able to redo that in future years. I thought it was very productive to have the school committee candidates to come in. It was the one forum where you knew that they were going to address issues in special education and how we're going to educate all our students. Welcome, Ness, to school committee. Welcome back, Liza and Carlos. And in April, we also had a discussion at our meeting, invited people from the Quincy Family Resource Center to talk about CRAs. It used to be called CHINs, if anyone's been working and doing this work for a while. Basically, a child requiring assistance. So we looked at that, and that sparked a discussion that then was taken over by the school committee, the special ed subcommittee. Yep. So things are moving with that. So the future directions in terms of advocacy, parent support and engagement, and education, we'll continue to work with Hingham schools to ensure that the goals of transparency, programming, communication, empathy, that any new improvements will be rooted in research and evidence-based practices. I think that's not really something we have to fight for, so it's very much the administration's approach right now. Prioritize transparency, clear communication, and programming evaluations, regular updates from administration, work collaboratively with the school committee, and work with Dr. Austin as he transitions in. We also, one of the changes that we made with our board this year, one of the things that lacked this year are educational programs. We didn't have a lot of special events with guest speakers who were really there to connect parents to each other and educate them, because the chair of SEPAC this year was way too busy and not very talented at doing those things. So we made a board position of the education chair, whose job it is to do that. So that's Katie McBride coming on board, who will be fantastic. and maintain social media forums as a way for parents to connect, share resources, advocate for special needs. I think the Facebook group has been really mostly a positive space this year. I think one example of that is there's a thread that I would love to get published of parents of kids with special needs who've gone through the middle school, giving advice to parents like myself, who my oldest son is going to be going to the middle school next year. But I think that was a really incredible thread of just advice from parents to other parents, and I think we can do more of that on the forum. And yeah, work to build a community of parents of children with special needs in the Hingham Public Schools, which I think that we're not building that community is there, but really to try and get these parents connected with each other and not feel as alone out there. So the one legal thing, the SEPAC is a legal group that under Massachusetts law, every town is supposed to have a SEPAC. Not all of them do, and not all of them have one as strong as Hingham's is, so that's something to be proud of as a community. But the one thing we have to do is have the Parents' Rights and Responsibilities Workshop every year, which we're due in October. This year we had people from the Disability Law Center come in to, I thought, give a really excellent presentation on your child's rights and your rights as a parent in the school system. And just looking to future topics, that's all sort of Katie's domain. I'm not going to step on that, about what future education plans we have. But we'll continue to advocate for kids with special needs, continue to, for advocacy where I already said we're going to trying to finish up diving into the leveling discussion this year. And just continue parent support and engagement. We have tried to get more people at our meetings, try to get people to run for board positions. So, yeah, and just continue on. So thank you.
Thank you.
I do have copies of our annual report if anyone's interested. I can leave them on a chair or something for people to take.
Great.
Yes, awesome.
Great, thank you. And it's on our desk. Does anybody have any questions for Tim Miller-Dempsey?
I'd just like to thank you for your energy and enthusiasm. And it's really, I think the organization is working really well together now, and I really appreciate you and Jen and everyone stepping up, so thank you.
And it really is sort of a three-legged stool of administration, school committee, and SEPAC. And I think everyone involved has had a great year and has really worked together very well. So I think it's the sort of, I keep talking about the dawn of a new relationship and a new time in Hingham for students with special needs. So
I too want to commend you and your team for working with the school department and with the school committee. You have done indeed a very good job. Keep it up. And we devoted a lot of energy to special ed the last 3 years. So it's great to get, to hear your report and hear that things are working out much, much better. So let's continue on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Tim. All right, some more new business. 6.2, to act on the contracts for the Assistant Superintendent and Director of Business and Support Services. Liza, as Chair of Salary Negotiations, do you want to, we've met about this, and I think tonight we just need to ratify them.
Yeah, so the committee has met with Jamie and John, and we are very pleased that we have come to agreement with them as very important members of our administration, and especially through the transition to the new superintendent. We're very fortunate to have the continuity of your contributions, and that was very important to the school committee and the community of having a positive relationship with you, both of you. So we're excited to be able to vote on this tonight. And I'll share that for both of them, we have 3-year contracts with rollover provisions and mutually agreed upon salaries that were adjusted based on some equity adjustments and our personal negotiations. And we increased both of them for some other allowances, specifically technology, because we've noted an increased use of requirements in their roles. So that's the basic overview. So on that, I'll make a motion to approve the three-year contract. First, for Assistant Superintendent Jamie LaBellois for the 2019 through 2022. I didn't write that down on my note.
22, yes.
Yeah, 22, yeah.
There was a second? I'll second. Libby, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I do have signed contract from both Jamie and John's for you to sign.
Great, okay, thank you.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the three-year contract for John Ferris as Director of Business and Support Services for 2019 through 2022.
Thank you. Libby, you want a second? Sure. Thank you, seconded by Libby. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Excellent, unanimous. Thank you very much, congratulations. 6.3, to discuss appointing a representative to the Town of Hingham Master Plan Committee and act as appropriate. So Dr. Gallo, you mentioned this, that that had been a communication from the town. They are interested in getting that committee up and running this summer. Liza had expressed an interest in serving as a representative from the school committee to the Hingham Master Plan Committee. And I'm assuming you're still interested, even though they're starting this summer. And Dr. Gallo said it was going to be a lot of work. But if you are still interested, I would be, well, does someone want to make I don't know if we have to do it as a motion, but I'm in favor of appointing Liza as our representative to the Master Facilities Plan. Everyone agree? Yes? Okay. Yes. Terrific. All right. Thank you, Liza. So we'll appoint Liza to that committee. I'll let them know, Liza, so they can be in touch with you. All right, great. Item 6.4 is to appoint Dr. Paul Austin as Special Assistant to the Hingham School Committee for Transitional Matters and to discuss superintendent transition plans and act as appropriate. Do you want to talk about this, or? Okay.
So we had the opportunity, fortunate opportunity that Dr. Austin had time available to come join us for an extra 2 weeks. And we also confirmed with John Ferris that there was room left in the operating budget to accommodate this. And so we have a letter of agreement that we have all discussed for Dr. Austin to pay stipend for based on his contractual work, that he will be with us for 2 full weeks, starting today through June 30th, to serve as Special Assistant to the School Committee for Transitional Matters, and to particularly work with Dr. Gallo and the staff and all of us these next 2 weeks prior to his July 1 contract. So it's at $4,000 per week based on his contract. So I would make a motion to approve appointing Dr. Paul Austin as Special Assistant to the Hingham School Committee for Transitional Matters for a period of June 17th to June 30th, 2019.
Second?
I'm on a roll.
Libby, all right. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Great, that is unanimous as well.
And then one other formal matter, Dr. Gallo already mentioned this earlier, but so beginning July 1, Dr. Gallo will be taking some vacation time and adjusting and then fulfilling some job duties for this current 2018-2019 school year. But Dr. Austin has responsibilities for July 1 for getting ready for the 2019-2020 school year. So since Dot will not be available at all times, we have agreement with everyone that we appoint shall I make a motion to appoint Dr. Paul Austin as acting superintendent for July 1st through July 31st, 2019, while Dr. Gallo is in and out.
Is that going under 48 hours?
No, it's under.
That's under 6.4.
So still part of
6.4,
that?
yeah, because we said, and to
Okay.
discuss and act as appropriate on transition planning.
Okay.
So, sorry, Liza, you made a motion?
Yes, to appoint Dr. Austin as acting superintendent for July 1 through July 31st.
While Dr. Gallo's on
2009.
vacation.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I will second that
Libby.
one too.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, great. Thank you. All right, item number 7. Other items as may not reasonably known, 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Any from administration? No? I have none either. Anyone on the committee? 48 hours? No? Terrific. All right. Subcommittee and project reports. Libby, I'll start with you. Do you have any subcommittee or liaison reports? No? Okay. Liza?
No, I've reported on what we've been doing with salary negotiations, and we have executive session tonight. I'll share with people then.
Okay. Ed, do you have anything? No? Carlos?
So, long-range planning met on June 4th, and we discussed several items. We got an update on the master plan, which is still in progress, and hopefully John and his team will be able to get that done before the end of the fiscal year. We got an update on the capital budget, so it was great that we were able to balance that. We also discussed the scoreboard that was brought up at the last meeting. Dr. Ed Schreier is working with John and making sure that we get some quotes. And once we have those quotes, we'll bring to the full school committee for discussion. And we got an update on the fire at the high school, that most likely the insurance is going to cover most of the fire. John, if you want to speak on that?
Yeah, the insurance should cover it. We have a $5,000 deductible. So the insurance will cover the vast majority of that, well, just about everything except for the $5,000. The price tag's gone up. Initially, last meeting, I think I said it was upward of $500,000. The last report I got, they thought it was closer to like 800,000, maybe between 800 and 850. We're working very closely with the insurance company. RebuildX is working sort of on behalf of Service ProMaster to actually start the rebuild. It's a process where they're checking the air quality. They're making sure that everything's fine before they get to rebuilding. It goes through a lot of checks between building and inspections and stuff. So that work should be commencing next week. The insurance company has been very good. Hopefully, I don't know if we have the advance, but I did ask them for an advance last week of about $450,000. I've been in dialogue with Sue Nickerson because of the timing of this event. We had to go through get a catastrophe emergency sort of declared by the Board of Selectmen and the DOR so that we can pay for it without having to go to a town meeting. Because any claims, any insurance settlements over $150,000 normally cannot be spent unless the town gives it a further appropriation. So that we have a separate account set up, and we've been authorized by the DOR. Sue has to deficit spend if need be. But with a little luck, the insurance with the $450, then plus they'll give me additional advances, we won't have any cash implications in the town. So it was just more like a regulatory legal matter to get that situation arranged, and it should be all set. So I think we're proceeding with the rebuild, and I do expect. Initially, I thought it was going to be all done by June 30th. We may be pushing into a couple of weeks in July. But in any event, the fire is covered by insurance with the exception of a $5,000 deductible.
Great,
So
thank
we
you.
should be back online, ready to go, occupying those spaces by the start of school in the fall?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yes,
Absolutely.
yep.
Yep. They're rebuilding now, so, and rebuilding means that we had to remove all the ceiling tiles because they took on smoke, and there was no way to get the smoke out of those tiles. So those all came down, and it's a very large space. We had about, 20 some odd classrooms plus some office spaces and other areas that had to get a good cleaning. So they took all those down and they had to clean above them. And everything's sort of cleared right now except for the room where the initial fire was. The word that I got was it still smells a little smoky in there, and the test they're saying they got to do some more cleaning. They thought maybe it was caulking or something, so they'll identify where that smell is coming from and make sure it gets tested before they rebuild that. But they'll start putting new ceiling tiles in all the rooms. We've had electrical tested. We've had a number of systems have all been tested to make sure that they're functional and that they didn't experience damage due to the fire. The floor took on a lot of water. Initially, some of the tiles they weren't lifting. Now there appears to be some floor damage. So I think that's how the price continues to go up. But in any event, they're working very rapidly, and we should be back in shape, by the end of July, I would say, at the latest, Ed, perhaps earlier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, SEPAC, oh, yes.
So I forgot.
Yes.
I do have something about the community outreach.
Yes.
Subcommittee.
Okay.
So we met on June 4th, and there were a number of things that I just wanted to keep going and keep the conversation going on, one of which is next steps for Foster School. And the next step is for you to call the Massachusetts Building Authority to try to get them to come out for a site visit.
The building committee.
Sorry.
I need to call, yes, I need to talk to the building committee
Right.
to do that, yes.
So
Yes.
that is still very much on our radar, and we're still working to take care of that little problem. Also, I am happy to report that the Capital Outlay Committee was able to keep in the money for a new website, which will be huge for our communications going forward. So that was a big thing.
Yeah.
And then I want to encourage everybody out there to follow the Hingham Public Schools Facebook page if you are not doing so already. Dr. Jamie will be and does post lots of great things that are going on in the schools, and the school committee will be posting informational things about what we're doing as well. So that's about it for now, and our next meeting is 8:30 a.m. on June 27th, and you are invited to come, please. And
Okay, great, thank you. SEPAC, I am going to, unless, tomorrow night's meeting is open to the public, yes, Jen? Sorry, Tim? Tomorrow night's meeting, the leveling discussion is open to the public, yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, so I'm going to attend tomorrow night.
The purpose of tomorrow is to really give parents the opportunity to speak that might not be able to attend the following Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
And also kind of organize our classes as a collective.
Okay.
So we're not, of course, uninvited Dr. Bass. Which I'm sure she's heartbroken to death. But the idea was to be able to allow parents to kind of talk in a free space.
Okay. Is it okay if I'm there? Okay, all right. Okay, so I will be there tomorrow night. I will see you there. All right, any other reports, projects, anything? No? All right. Sorry, do you?
I just want to report that the high school council met on June 5th.
Okay.
Although I was not able to make it, I got the minutes already, and they discussed the next year school improvement plan. So
Oh, great.
that's pretty much it.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
No. there's someone, do you want to?
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session, not to return to open session for the purposes of approval of minutes of the executive sessions held on March 25th, April 29th, June 3rd, and for reviewing our non-union administrator contracts and discussing strategy related to the collective bargaining process with HEA Unit A, the public discussion of which may be detrimental to the committee's bargaining position.
Second?
I'll second.
Carlos, and roll call vote for that. Ness, adjourn to executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned to executive session. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight.